Steve Ratmeister at Sitka Technology Group. I'm going to talk a little bit about the overall timeline of the TerraTrak project, and then I'll turn it over back to Brian to talk about the CWS implementation. So TerraTrak started back in 2010. The project was kicked off with two of our managing partners here, Brian and Matt, doing a data diagnostics over at Metro. The data diagnostic is a effort to understand the information that's generated and how is that information summarized and reported, and more importantly, the people who are doing that work. Who are the folks who are generating the information, and what are the pain points in trying to generate or compile that information. So the data diagnostic identified what are the key spots where a software could help improve workflow and information. The key finding out of that was that acquisitions was the place where they wanted to start. So Metro started in 2011 on formalizing their acquisition process and building software, TerraTrak, to support that. In 2012, we moved on to supporting site management, which is the core of what we'll talk about today. 2013, Metro moved on and started doing work efforts or work orders under the site management. 2014, CWS came in and we rolled out the material management, built the material management piece for them, which eventually we rolled in 2015, rolled out to Metro. Budgeting started back in 2014, and this past year we've been rolling out the site management for CWS, and we'll start rolling out the budgeting currently for CWS. So a good history and a lot of functionality already existing in the system, supporting two different organizations. Brian, I'll pass it over to you.
Before that, Steve, this is Damon. I do have a question, just kind of a clarification question regarding the site management, the work efforts, material management, which I'll just interject here. We did do a webcast last year with Margaret from Clean Water Services, which really kind of dive deep into material management, which was worth checking out if you didn't see it already. But all these different modules, how do they interact? How are they all available for customers, or kind of the question I've received?
Yes, so we can turn on the modules individually. Commonly when we onboard a new tenant, we think about kind of a gradual turning on or implementing these pieces. One of the big challenges is organizational change, is just helping the tenant or the client be able to implement or roll that out within your organization. And so doing it incrementally over time is recommended. But all of the modules are available for new tenants.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I second Steve's answer to the question, and looking at the portion of the timeline that's Clean Water Services specific. Back in 2014, we received a license agreement from Metro to begin using TerraTrak, and we had a goal of planting over 2 million plants within the watershed that year. And so that's the reason that we kind of developed the material management module for TerraTrak during that time. And it ended up being very instrumental in our ability to track the deliveries and allocation of that plant material for that given year. With that having been built in 2015, Metro adopted that module, and it's an interesting environment working on this software, because Metro and Clean Water Services have been continuing to develop additional functionality while also refining our tenant-specific areas to each organization's specific needs. So Metro had adopted the material management, just as an example, module in 2015, and they track far more materials than we do to projects. So they were able to take what we had already built and customize it for their needs, leveraging the work that we had already done. So there's a lot of shared development and lots of leveraging other work that organizations have done. Last year, we started working on more holistic site management within TerraTrak, as well as projects that occur on those sites. We're currently working in that now. We've developed processes for revegetation contracting and invoicing in concert with some other process improvements internally, like digital signature on the contracting. And I'll go into more of that during the online demo, which is coming up next. Currently, we're working on adding budget tracking within and across our projects, and that'll provide much greater summarization, analysis, and reporting on a project-by-project basis for project managers, as well as the ability to roll up that information across projects for higher-level department manager budget tracking in real time.
I did get a question on this slide. The question was regarding the development and how is that managed, and especially with the multiple partners with Metro and Clean Water Services in this case.
I'll grab that one. Steve, Brett here again. So currently each client has their own budget, their own set of deliverables. If any deliverable from one client may have a impact on the other client, we describe that and decide whether or not we need to have a joint meeting with both clients to discuss the requirements. Commonly, I act as the kind of the facilitator between those discussions to gather requirements from the key client who's funding that functionality, and then communicating that to the other tenant or the other client. And as much as possible, we're really trying to focus on what's the process as a whole, and building the system so that it's configurable to the tenants. So we have workflows, and within that workflow are the requirements. So a lot of the details of what are the requirements are configurable to the client, to the tenant. So yeah, we're aiming to build a system that supports generic workflows, and then we